Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Lore Link stream. Happy to have you here on this fine Tuesday evening. Um, Last week we delved a little bit into the Dune video game, and today we're going to take a peek at Dune Adventures in the Imperium, the Modiphius TTRPG. As you probably already know, LoreLink is a tool for game masters and the rest of the party to help plan and organize your TTRPGs at the table. And so this stream, we regularly show off how to plan certain types of TTRPGs and get your information into LoreLink and how to just kind of generally approach GMing and running your games. So I am a huge fan of the entire Dune series. I've read all the books multiple times, watched every show or movie that's ever come out, and I think own every video game or board game that's ever come out that it's Dune related. I could possibly be missing one of the older ones, but I've been a fan for a while, and I have never touched this TTRPG yet. I just haven't had a chance. And what's funny is I ended up with two different copies of the source book when it first came out, and just haven't had a chance to sit down with it. So we'll get to do that a little bit together. So I have here with me the source book for Dune Adventures in the Imperium. This is, flipping into it just a little bit, this comes from Modiphius. It is licensed work. And the very first start of the book here, hey, where do I start? What is a role-playing? And we know what a role-playing game is. I'm making that assumption here on this stream. The system for this is the 2d20 system that's already popular for Modiphius and a number of other systems. So if you've watched any of our streams on Star Trek Adventures, for example, or I don't know what we've done on stream, but Conan, which I've played in, uses 2d20, Infinity, Homeworld, and there's a number of others. So Dune Adventures in the Imperium uses the basic 2d20 system. The only real difference from some of the other systems is that Dune does not use the challenge dice, so there's no d6s at all. It's only d20s in Dune. The only thing that I don't like about the 2d20 system is the fact that I enjoy rolling d12s. It's everybody has to have a favorite die, right? I'm always bummed when I don't get to roll my d12s. I have these entire sets, and that is the most underutilized dice in the entire set. All right, so here's the intro from the book. Do a quick read through here. We begin in the year 10,191 of the imperial calendar, a time of feudal politics, deadly assassins, and political rivalry in a universe where humanity is spread out across thousands of planets. With this core rulebook, you and your friends can take on the roles of agents of a powerful noble house, looking to carve out a place in the complex society of the Imperium. In this age, humanity is not just advanced, but evolved. Some people have minds like computers, able to store and process data with perfect accuracy. Others have learned unique Bene Gesserit martial arts skills that allow them incredible control over their nerves and muscles, making them lightning-fast, lethal combatants. Some have even developed strange powers of deduction and prophecy. For this they are often called witches. And then there is the spice. This substance is the driving force behind the entire civilization of the Imperium. Without it, the Spacing Guild could not pilot their great Highliner spacecraft across space in an instant, and several factions would be unable to use the abilities that grant them their power. Even for the less developed people of the Imperium, spice extends human lifespan, even doubling it, and the promise of more years will make some people do daring and desperate things. But the spice is only found on one planet in the entire universe, the planet Arrakis. It is a hostile desert world of deadly sandstorms and great worms where no drop of rain has ever fallen. So the Fremen people of the deep desert know Arrakis by another name. They call it Dune. The universe of Dune is a complex and fascinating place, but with the rules and details we provide in this book, you can politic with the Emperor, rule a noble house, and fight deadly duels like any agent of the Imperium. We explain what a role-playing game is and how you play it, give you a detailed overview of the setting, talk you through how to use the game rules, and even provide a full adventure to get you started. If you're new to role-playing games, don't worry, we'll explain how they work. You might also ask the staff of the shop where you bought this book. That might be a problem. I don't remember where I bought this book. As they may be able to answer any questions you have and possibly point you toward other people interested in playing the game. Additionally, there are many online resources and groups to help you learn to play and to find other players. Hi, we're one of those resources. All right. So, first of all, thanks for being here. I do have the chat up. Do please chime in and participate. I will do my best to keep an eye on things. 20 is telling me that the music volume could go down. Which is interesting because I already can't hear it anymore, but I will turn it down just a bit further. Welcome 20, welcome Tony. Happy to have you here. Thank you for being here. That's right. Fallout is also 2D20. That's fantastic. Hi, Wolf Mom. Good evening. So I'm curious, Wolf Mom, have you had a chance to play Dune yet, or not? I don't know. All right, core book overview. The overview, we've got, it looks like 10 chapters in the core book. An introduction, an overview of the known universe, instructions on how to create your house. So if you know anything about the Dune universe, and I don't want to assume that you do, basically you have the Imperial House who runs the Empire throughout the galaxies, and then you have the great houses that generally own one or more planets, sometimes entire star systems, and it's very much kind of a feudalistic type of society, but it's a techno-feudalism. I don't know, maybe there's a more precise name. Yeah, you haven't run it or played it. That's fair. I have not actually done any reading on it yet at all. I mean, obviously I know Dune, but I don't know. And I know Dune, and I know 2D20 a little bit from playing it some. So I guess that means that I have a good grasp on where we're going with this, but that only gets you so far. So in general, in this game, you're going to be playing as part of a great house. From what I can tell, you don't necessarily all have to be part of the same great house, although it may very well be advantageous to do so. So you create a house, you create your characters, get into the core rules. There's conflict systems, and it's specifically called conflict, not combat, because a lot of the conflict that's going to happen in Dune type of world. Yeah, so the game assumes you serve the same house. Okay, cool. I kind of made that assumption because it would be really weird to be in the Dune universe and working together. Like, talk about awkward. It's very different than, like, I don't know, a D&D group being part of different factions. Like, the conflicts are going to be a lot more cloak and dagger, a lot more politicking. Yes, there's going to be combat. A lot of the combats are going to tend to be duels more than skirmishes, although both can certainly happen within the world. You see that if you've watched the movies, you've seen that. So we've got assets, we've got vehicles, weapons, favors, statuses, even blackmail material can be an asset. So that's something they call out specifically. Information on game mastering the game, some details on allies and adversaries you may run into. And the end of the book is a section on the Harvesters of Dune, which is a short adventure. So I may have an opportunity here. Actually, let me do one other thing before I jump more into the book. So for free download, let me change. There we go. I have somewhere in here. There we go. I have the Adventures in the Imperium. This is a free downloadable PDF on their site. It's supposed to be like a quick start for the Dune game. So some of our credits from the folks here. The conflict is all about moving assets into place and removing your opponent's assets. Yep, whether it's large-scale battle, intrigue at a party, a duel, or a long-term objective. Yeah, totally. Free is a fantastic four-letter word. Yeah, I like the focus on conflict, and then yeah, there's going to be lots of different ways you can take that. It's one of the things I kind of like about the setting, quite frankly, is that I feel like that is something that'll do well. And unlike, I'm trying to think of some other games, Legend of the Five Rings, for example, is another game that has done that type of political intrigue, type of conflict, and everything really, really well. The difference being that I know the Dune universe fairly well by comparison, and I feel comfortable running whatever game I want inside of the Dune world because it's a fictional universe. I'm not at risk of cultural appropriation or misrepresentation of things in the same way that I feel I would be in a situation like trying to run L5R, for example. And I'm not even sure that that game is necessarily free of some of that consequence as well. So this to me is a very freeing and liberating setting for doing that type of game in a way that I'm comfortable doing it. So that's cool for me. Let's see, we've got introduction. So this is again a little bit of a setting. What do you need to play? Something to keep track of some of your momentum and determination points. That's good to know. Threat that the game master has acquired. Yes, the game master can acquire threat to give you a little bit of that, suspense and risk concept. There's going to be some pre-generated characters in here. And then there's a worm sign adventure on pages 13 to 19. So the curiosity, the adventure in here is called Harvesters of Dune, and it is their starting adventure. Taking a quick peek here in the book. I've got a very nice character sheet in the back. Chapter 10, Harvesters of Dune, a 3-act adventure. Cool. Notable supporting character, assets, timeline, etc. Graphics. Cool. So the adventure worm sign is in this, so we'll use this as a starting point. Introduces you to the sci-fi universe, setting the stage, introducing to some of the core rules in here. The basic test, as per 2d20, you roll 2 20-sided dice to see if you get a success. Each die that rolls equal to or less than the target number is a success. So you're wanting to roll low, not high, in 2d20. If you roll a 1, that counts as 2. If you roll a 1, that is 2 successes. If you roll a 20, that is a complication. If you get more successes than you need, you gain momentum. If you need help, you can spend momentum to gain more dice and determination points to help your results. However, the game master can spend threat to aid non-player characters and make actions more difficult. Each character is composed of a few different elements. So you've got your skills, things like battle and communicate, discipline, move, and understand. You have focuses, which increase your chances of scoring critical successes on tests using a skill. Then you have drives. So duty is a driver, for faith, justice, power, truth. These are all potential drives or motivations for why you would do things a specific way. So that's one of your core stats. So difficulties are going to be rated as 0 through 5. Yeah, it really could be dangerous. Could be fun though. It would be risky for sure. I might be up for the challenge sometime. I don't know. Right, when a player asks to make a skill test, the game master should determine the difficulty from 0 to 5. You need at least as many successes as the difficulty to achieve the task. 5, so difficulty 0 is something you really can't fail, but we want to see how well you do at it. 5 being basically impossible suckers. Yeah, the drives plus skills combination is good. So when attempting the skill test, follow this procedure. So hopefully this will explain this a little bit better. The game master usually selects one skill to be used. The player should then pick a drive they think is appropriate, guided by their drive statements. So the game master is going to say, hey, this is the skill that's applicable. The player then selects their drive, and that is going to help guide the narrative about how they're approaching the problem, which having that built into the system to me is amazing, because that's one of the things that I really like when trying to get good description from the players and trying to get good narratives going through the action. So then these two numbers are added together and they become the target number. You may also select an applicable focus if you have one. Then the game master sets the difficulty. This is normally between 1 and 5. It could be higher, could be 0. Some skill tests may have a default difficulty listed in the rules, but traits that and other factors can increase or decrease difficulties. The difficulty is the number of successes you need. Remember that rolling a natural 1 means you earn 2 successes right away. You start by default you roll 2d20. So if you roll a pair of 1s, which is almost impossible, that would get you 4 successes. Otherwise, you're mostly likely to get either somewhere between 0 and 2 successes. The players and the game master should also finalize any traits they are applying. Some might be required to even make it possible for moving on to roll the dice. Take 2 d20s plus any additional d20s you've purchased for this skill test. This is your dice pool. Each d20 that rolls equal to or less than the target number scores a single success. If a focus applies, then each die that rolls equal to or less than the skill being used scores a critical success. So focuses make crits easier, a lot easier. Each die that rolls a 20 causes a complication, which is fun for the GM. If the number of successes scored equals or exceeds the difficulty of the success skill you have tested you have passed, the number of successes scored is less than the difficulty, then you have failed. If the number is greater than the difficulty, each success above that becomes a point of momentum. And then the game master, of course, describes the outcome, and you move forward with life. To improve the odds, here's the other things that you have in your toolbox when trying to adjust your chances. You can spend momentum to assist the test, such as buying extra dice before the skill test. Threat can be you can gift the game master threat instead of spending momentum if you don't have any, for example. Determination represents a character putting their all into an action. If you spend a point of determination, choose one of the d20s in your dice pool. That one is considered to have rolled a 1 and does not need to be rolled. It is a crit automatically. You start play with 1 point of determination and may never have more than 3 at a time. So determination in some ways is similar to hero points or insight or whatever from other systems. Assistance is when another character actively assists your character's action. There may be a limit to how many characters may assist a given skill check. Each assistant selects a drive and skill to create the target number of their very own. Based on how they are helping, they roll 1d20. You cannot buy your own extra dice. Any successes that are generated are added to the skill test. Any complications from anyone involved apply to everyone involved. So the real threat there, it's not that they may not help you, it's that they may cause complications if they fail to help you. Additional successes become momentum, saved into your momentum pool. So this is where you might want to have tokens for kind of tracking your momentum and threat and determination. You can buy d20s with it. You can create a trait. So you can define a new fact about a scene or situation. Spend 2 points of momentum to create a brand new trait, changes an existing one, or remove one currently in play. It must relate to the action your character has just attempted. It must be something that could reasonably result from the action. You can create an asset. Assets created this way are temporary and cease to exist at the end of the scene. So you can spend 2 momentum to make an asset created during a scene permanent, in which case it is added to the list of assets on your character sheet. So it looks like you'd spend 2 points of momentum to create an asset and then another 2 to make it permanent. Yes. Perfect example. I shoot the light, spend 2 momentum, the scene is now dark. There's an asset. I wanted darkness. Or it could very easily be, hey, I grabbed this item or I confiscate an item from someone. I remembered to, yeah, you're right. That is a little bit more of a trait. That's fair. It's really describing the narrative how you came up with a certain advantage is part of it. It's whether you're creating a trait or an asset. Yeah, fabricating an nasty rumor, another great example. Obtain information allows you to learn more about the scene and the situation. So each point of momentum you spend allows you to ask the Game Master one question. Game Master should answer truthfully, but it does not have to answer completely. Oof. Partial or incomplete answers that leave room for further questions are more common. The answers must reflect the skill your character has used to gain the information. It should be something that your character would be able to determine themselves. You don't know or you can't tell are valid answers from the Game Master, but the Game Master must refund momentum spent if they give answers like that. Okay. Add to threat. You can buy d20s by adding to threat whenever you roll complications. You can add to threat to ignore the complication. Escalation. The Game Master may state that a specific action or decision risks escalating the situation, making it more difficult. If you perform the action anyway, you add a threat. The environment or circumstances of a new scene may be threatening or perilous enough for the Game Master to warrant adding 1 or 2 points of threat to the pool automatically. Similarly, some non-player characters may generate threat simply by arriving in response to changes in the situation. So activities that escalate the tensions of the scene, such as guards raising the alarm. So this is a reason why I feel like having a threat pool or threat counter that is incredibly visible to the characters. If you're playing online, it should be a number or a pile of tokens that the characters can see. If you're playing in person, a pile of chips or dice or M&Ms or whatever you want to use as your tokens is perfect, because then the players can see the mounting threat, the mounting risk that exists. It adds to that feeling of danger coming down. Non-player character momentum. Non-player characters with unspent momentum cannot save it as a player characters can, as they don't have a group momentum pool. Instead, a non-player character may add to threat for every point of momentum they have remaining. Sweet. Game Master can spend threat by buying d20s, increasing difficulty. 1 point for every 2 points of threat. When a player character's action would normally add points to threat, a non-player character performing that same action or making the same choice must spend an equivalent number of points of threat. Nice, okay. If a non-player character suffers a complication, the game master may buy off that complication by spending 2 points of threat. That makes sense. The game master may change, remove, or create a trait by spending 2 points of threat. This must come naturally from some part of the situation. Environmental effects, narrative changes, and rival house actions. Ooh, nice. So there's a lot of interesting things that the GM can do. Threat powers a lot of that. So the game master is kind of doing two things here, right? The game master is both serving as the arbiter and the narrator in the situation, but also accumulating resources that can be spent against the characters, against the players. That should always be above board. And so the challenge as a game master is to make sure that you are being a fair arbiter and being a predictable scoundrel when the time comes to screw the players over. You're making it very clear you're doing it with the rope they handed you. And to me, that's actually enjoyable. That's an enjoyable interaction, regardless of which side I'm on, because if you've narrated this well and you've done a good job setting it up, the players knew that they were increasing the risk. They accepted that in order to be successful. With any luck, they've had some really cool, fun successes, things to celebrate that have happened, and now the find out part of that comes around, and they still haven't lost their autonomy in that situation. And that to me is enjoyable because both the game master and the players retain autonomy, retain control of their characters and their actions, and I enjoy that kind of back and forth. Two other ways you might want to make a test both figure heavily in the conflict system. Contest is when a character is facing another character rather than a situation or static obstacle. In this case, the skill and ability of the opposing character define the difficulty, which makes sense. In an extended test, the question is not whether the character succeeds, but how long it takes them to do so. In this case, the game master sets a requirement, which usually ranges from 4 to 10 or double the skill level of an opposing character. If a character has not gained enough points to meet the requirement, they can roll again to add more points, taking additional time to perform the action. Information. So conflict, nature of the forms of conflict. Basics are dueling, so 2 individuals in physical combat. Skirmishes, which involve a handful of combatants on either side. You have warfare, which is physical combat but a strategic level. It involves groups of people, house troops, mercenaries, even starter car fighting. Espionage is more self-deception, but can still be a physical conflict, and then intrigue, which is your social conflict. So those are the common forms of conflict within the game. So actions alternate between the player side and the enemy side. When a character side has had a turn, a single character on that side who is not active can make an action, and then play passes back over. If a player character has made a successful attack, they may spend 2 points of momentum or add 2 threat to keep the initiative. Enemy non-player characters may spend 2 points of threat to do this. If they keep the initiative, then that character may take an extra action immediately, adding a difficulty to any test they attempt, or to allow an allied character to take the turn before handing back over to the opposing side. Once a side is chosen to keep the initiative, they can't do this again until at least one enemy character has taken a turn of their own. So you do have options to kind of keep the ball rolling. Conflict overview, choose an asset, make an appropriate skill test, roll against the target, win or lose, success or fail. On success, if it's a minor character, they're defeated. Otherwise, you've got an extended situation and you've got to keep going until you accomplish your total goal. Okay, skipping through here, we end up with the starter adventure, Worm Sign. So this is a free PDF. So if you're curious about the Dune RPG, you can download this free PDF. Look over the high-level rules here, just to kind of get you started. And then this first short adventure walks you through like one scene. It's just like a short 6-page adventure, and then you end up with some characters here. So these are some starter characters you can print off. Got a Mentat, Criminal, I love it. What's up, X? Servant, Jesuit, Swordmaster, yeah. Reformed spice smuggler. I'm not sure that's really a thing. I love that they have the custom knife set. Hey, thanks, Wolf Mom. Appreciate it. So here are the starting characters that you can play in this short adventure, just to kind of get you started. I always appreciate having some kind of starter characters for the first time playing a new system, just to kind of get a feel for it. So let's peek at this first adventure, and I might go ahead and do a little bit of work to get this into Lorelink. Again, I really haven't looked at this yet, so actually, let me really quickly, I'm going to pull up in the book, and let's see what's different in the book. The book goes into a lot more detail in the different things, right? So, like, one of the things that you haven't seen in this short little quick start is details on how to create your own house, right? Details on how to actually create your own character. The real deep dive on how to actually run the conflicts, for example. Okay. So here in the book, wow, this really gets into some of the history in the book. Old Empire expands, the time of the Titans, the rise of the Cymex. Goodness. This goes all through the history, Butlerian Jihad. This is a really high level of everything in the house creation is great. Intended or not, that's a great pun. It's a great pun. All right. So this is a really high level background of everything in the prequels, in the prequel books. So we've got how the great schools are founded, the birth of the empire, the fall of the thinking machines. Anybody who's kind of fed up with AI, it would be a fantastic opportunity to go through and read some of the early early Dune books, some of the prequels.
That's the way computers talk to each other.
All right. Great schools. We've got the great companies. So the great companies, the big ones, are the Full Space Shipping Company, which eventually became the Spacing Guild. The Combine Onet Oberadventure Mercantiles, or CHOME, which is this massive company that oversees just about everything. You have the Landsraad, which is the Great Council. Overseen by the Padishah Emperor. There is a great convention, which is effectively the agreement between all the houses. One of the if you're not familiar with the Dune universe, and I know that some of you may not be, one of the interesting things, there's a lot of interesting things that are set up in the universe that provide really interesting opportunities for conflict and interesting challenges to overcome. The fact that basic resources are available everywhere in the Imperium. Everyone effectively has some level of access to the food and water and resources that they need, subject to the wealth and strength of the houses that they serve, the planets they happen to be on. That stuff is less detailed. What's really interesting is that the entire empire, the elites, effectively require spice that only exists in one place. It's really hard to harvest. It's very finite. Then you have this other concept, which is a technological one, where you do have laser weapons. Laser weapons, that you also have the concept of these energy shields. Energy shields are incredibly effective against melee and martial weapons. Projectiles don't go through shields. Quick sword thrusts don't go through shields. However, slow movement, because the shields are designed for you to be able to wear it and move around, slow normal movements go through. So if you want to fight somebody effectively who has a shield, you have to move very, very slowly. And you actually saw this if you watched last week's stream in the online RPG game. You saw that they were teaching you some of those combat moves. So instead of beating on somebody, you had to slowly thrust through their shield. Well, the side effect is that while you have laser weapons for ranged combat, laser weapons, when they hit a shield, is a devastating atomic level explosion. It lays waste to anything around it, which causes all kinds of consequences for how weapons can be deployed. And one of the big stipulations in the Great Convention between the houses is that the use of this effect in any way is outlawed. Atomic weapons are outlawed. Everybody has them. Nobody's allowed to use them. And nobody is allowed to intentionally cause shield detonations through the use of laser gun weapons. And one of the things that keeps you from wanting to do that is that the effect is on both sides. Both the person shooting and the person being shot both go up in an atomic explosion. It's kind of a wild concept, but it punishes both sides equally and instantaneously. It's a very interesting technological concept that is introduced in the story to balance the forces and create intrigue. It's a very clever device that's used in the stories. Wolfmom says, I think my favorite part of house creation is that you can, as a group, decide how big a deal you want the PC's house to be. Bigger house, greater power, but more enemies, and the GM starts with more threat. Yes. That's yes. I mean, there's advantages to working for a minor house. Yeah, you may not have a lot of power influence, but nobody gives a crap what you're doing. Right? Yeah, even an accidental interaction, it's devastating consequences. Devastating consequences. And yeah, that's a no-go. Some of the other groups, you have the Sword Masters. That's pretty self-explanatory. The Suk School of Medicine. Great healers. You have the Spacing Guild, of course. The Sardaukar, the elite military force of the Padishah Emperor. huge timeline of history from 11,000 BG. The space age begins. In BG, and then 2200 BG. It just goes on and on and on. Great. This is actually really well laid out for as a really high level. Here's all the things you need to care about that exist in the Imperium. Yes, you obviously aren't careful enough to have all the power you have. Maybe we should take some of it off your shoulders. Yes, indeed. Then there's a number of different religions that are outlined that are from the stories. This is a massive, massive world with a deep history, and I would argue that the Dune universe rivals Lord of the Rings in terms of detail and complexity, history, things that are going on. It's very well thought out, has been developed over a great number of years. There's so much opportunity for adventures within the system. You could effectively run any type of adventure you want within the context of this. You could never leave a planet, or you could be constantly hopping around the universe. All possible within the framework of the universe, not necessarily within the framework of this particular game. Okay. So with that said, let me pull up really quickly. Switch back into here. One second. Looks like I may have. I've done some changes to our layout. I just realized that my chat box is too large. I'll have to change. I'll have to edit the chat box down a little bit next time. Tweak that just a little bit. Get it down to size a little bit better. That's at least a little bit better. Sorry about that. That's a little bit better. Okay, so we've got a couple things here. Here's all my Lurelink campaigns I've been working on. Let's go ahead and create a new one for Dune. We're going to call this Dune. And this is, of course, Dune Adventures in the Imperium. All right. So one of the things you're going to see a lot in this comes from straight out of the books. There's always, every chapter in the Dune books has a quote from somewhere, and it's amazing how much of the lore of Dune comes not from the stories, but from the quotes at the individual chapters. And I'm so happy to see that they've included that in kind of the way they've written about some of these things. And those quotes are often from famous people from the history of the Bene Gesserit, Swordmasters, Sioux Schools, etc. They're often quotes out of the Orange Catholic Bible, Orange Catholicism being one of the religions of the world. And you'll see that some of these things are modified from actual Catholicism combined with the setting of the world. So I beheld another beast coming up out of the sand, and he had two horns like a lamb, but his mouth was fanged and fiery as the dragon, and his body shimmered and burned with a great heat, while it did hiss like the serpent. Yes, interesting mishmash for sure. But honestly, I don't think that's wrong. if you try to sit back and project, gee, where will humanity be in 10,000 years? What might that look like? I figure there's going to be a lot of really weird mishmashes, right? Like, as people pick and choose what makes sense from different places and turn it into something completely new. The following should only be read by the game master. Oh, don't look. You should take the time to fully read through the adventure before running the game. Yes, of course, always. Be as familiar with the rules as possible. Player characters begin the game with 1 point of determination each, and the game master begins the game with 2 points of threat. So I can right away, right off the bat, I can tell you that we're going to create a new custom field, and this is going to be for threat. And this is going to be a number, and the players need to be able to see that. So the game master begins with 2 points of threat for each player character. Let's just assume 6 threat to start. That's fine. This allows me to put that in, and then I can, let's see, we've got 6 threat. Let's go to these player characters. That's a great place to start. I can actually come in and create a player. I had zoomed in a little too far. There we go. Right? Like, finishes are fascinating. For me, it would probably be Mentat or maybe Swordmaster. Hard to say. I'm going to try one of these. So I'm going to start by creating a template, new player template. Okay, we're going to figure out what that was not really what I wanted. This is the this is a basic character template. We're going to add some fields to it, I think. I want to have I could do these as custom fields. This is a situation where the custom field might be a little hard because we've got a number followed, like a drive number statement. Cool, thank you, Wolfram. Got different talents. So let's go ahead and create a few of these. We've got traits. That could be short. Then we're going to create an ambition. Then talents. And this is going to be long text. that. That's 2. Then we will do. I think I'm going to go ahead and do starting assets. This is also going to be long. And then here in the in the description, actually the character stats, we're going to do this. Okay, and we're going to do a table. Perfect. So this is going to be duty. I'm just going to make these 5 by default, and all right. So we're gonna have we're gonna have duty. We'll start with faith. So justice, power, and truth. Oops. Do that, and then I'm going to duplicate this table here, and instead of drive and state, we're going to have skill and focuses. And we're going to go ahead and leave a default of 5. We'll do these. And like, there's not like a laundry list of 100 skills or anything, so it's fairly straightforward. And so we're going to start with this. So now, save that. Go back as a player. I'm going to create a new player, and I'm going to base it on F1. Did I not? Okay. I know. Could have sworn I had saved that, but okay, back to players, create a new player, paste this on the character templates, link that together. Now we're going to create the first character here. Sharafel. Oh, I should have put a class in. Actually, let's go ahead and do that really quickly. We're going to edit these. Four, 3, 2. Then 0 is going to be call this. I don't know what if it's called. I don't think it's class. What is it called in the book here? Character creation section. Class, faction, order. Creating your house. Creating your concept. It's an archetype. So you end up with a concept, faction, characters, and templates. So concept, archetype, skills, focuses, talents. So in this specific case, the archetypes are like Bene Gesserit Sister, a Fremen, a Mentat. Space and Guild Agent, a Suk Doctor. The archetypes are things like Analyst, Athlete, Commander, Envoy, Herald, etc. So you've got battle archetypes, War Masters, communicate archetypes, socialites. You've got discipline archetypes, move archetypes, understand archetypes, the different areas. Okay. So we can call this, we'll just call this archetype. Anything else can go in the short description or long description field. All right. Try this one more time. Come back in, create the new player. All right, try this again. We're going to go for Trifel. I'm going to say that player stats are duty 6, faith 5, justice 8, wow, power 4, truth 7. And duty gets a statement. Have a duty to the truth. Justice isn't always fair. Truth is always revealed eventually. And then the skills, we can get those in here. Battle's a 4. Indicates a 6. Innuendo. Discipline's a 7, which is command. Move is 5, and then understand is a 6. Data analysis. Deductive reasoning. I'm going to save this character and I'm going to go edit this. So now I can fill in use items. So the archetype is Mentat. The traits are ambition. I think I can probably just copy the ambitions. Come on, click, click, boom. Leaving Mentat of my house. He's in here. Clean up the white space because it's copying out a PDF, and then we're in pretty good shape. Save that, and I can go ahead and preview this. So this is what the character sheet's going to start to look like. Character name, character stats, archetype, traits, ambition, intent study. Oh, and then I need starting assets. Silly me, I forgot that. Let's do that. Starting our search. There it is. Boom. I'm going to make this a bulleted list. Okay. Personal shield. Nice. Nice. Look in here, boom, there's the character, got all the stuff in there, and that's one character in. So I can easily go through, and now that I got the template done, I can easily go ahead and punch in a few more characters if I want to. So that is one way to get this set up, and of course, you're going to the campaign. In view mode, I've gone ahead and added the threat. Oh, one thing missing, we just talked about this a minute ago. We actually need to, everybody has starting momentum, so everybody has, momentum pool starts at 0 and determination. Okay, so I need to actually add that. So we're going to add this to the character template. Determination. So the determination this is going to be a number. This is going to be a 5. So it's going to start at a 1. So we're going to set that to a 1 to start with. And then come into our current player. All right, we're going to save that. So we got the determination there. Then go back to the campaign. We also need a momentum pool, right? So we're going to add a momentum. And this begins at 0. And this is fully shared with all the players. That's something that you need to have access to. And so the momentum number starts at 0. Just assuming 3 players, then the threat would start at 6. So I can drop this little node in here. Cool. Save that. And so the adventure begins. The player characters in a small ornithopter flying over the vast shield wall that protects the city of Arakeen from the deserts of Arrakis, known as Dune. Sounds a little bit like the starting point of the TTRPG. Duneverse novel. Okay, hold up, 20. That's a heck of a question. Here. All right. We have Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, Chapter House Dune. Yes, I've read all of those multiple times. The original Dune I've read probably a dozen times. I also have, just for the record, because it's fun, I have a very special original publication year, like first edition. I don't know that it's officially first edition. I haven't been able to prove it, but it is an original publication year edition of Dune. And then I have this other hardback edition of Dune. Then we have House Atreides, House Harkonnen, and House Carino, which are fantastic. The Butlerian Jihad, the Machine War, and the Battle of Korra. Freaking love those. For prequels that were not actually written by Frank, they are amazing. What's interesting here is these were written by Brian Herbert, his son, and also Kevin J. Anderson, who did a wonderful job bringing those to life. So then we have the Hunters of Dune, the Sandworms of Dune, Paul of Dune, the Winds of Dune, the Sisterhood of Dune. And I'm going to be honest, I have not finished reading those. Those are the newest books that I'm aware of in the series, and I have not finished reading all 5 of those. I haven't been reading as much the last couple of years as I would like, and I'm behind, basically. All of the others, though, like the 6 originals with all the prequels, just amazing, amazing work. Love them. Yeah, it's a bit of it's a problem. I have currently I own two Dune themed board games and have at least three different Dune video games that I play some. So yeah, yeah. It's a problem. What can I say? Um, so anyway, I'm probably not gonna go through any further today, and there's a reason for that, which is that I think that let me back up and give you a little bit of an update on Lorelink. So we've been one of the reasons that I didn't prep as well as I would have liked for this stream is that we've been super busy trying to bring some new functionality to you. Two new things that are coming soon are encounter management and the ability to export your data out of Lorelink so that it's your data. You can take it wherever you want at any point in time. That's always been our goal, is for Lorelink to be a tool that you feel safe and comfortable with, and part of doing that is making sure that you can get it back out again. The other thing is that opens the door to some other really cool things, which is the ability to import, the ability to copy, the ability to share campaigns with other players. Those are the types of functionality that we're going to be able to bring you throughout the next few months in 2026, which is going to be super exciting. So we're working on getting this stuff ready for you. The encounter system is going to be great because it's going to go far beyond what we were able to do with events before, and actually give you the ability to run an encounter and track things for an encounter all in one place. So I'm really excited for Mark, who's been doing the lion's share of the work on that, to be able to share that with you in an upcoming stream. That's going to be great. I think that this is a setting and some adventures that would really benefit from having access to that. So it'll be a lot of fun to set this up with that. So I'll probably do another Dune stream at some point in time where I actually finish doing all of the planning related to maybe this starter adventure, for example, so we can do a quick. This is a short enough one that we could probably do a really short 2-3 hour actual play at some point if we wanted to. Don't know. We'll see what time allows. I love it, so I'm always open to jumping right into it. But a lot of really cool things happening with Lorelink. What we would love to hear from everyone out in the community, whatever your biggest pain points are for trying to run your RPGs, let us know what that is. If that's something we can help with by providing a software solution, awesome. If it's something we can help with just by being a good partner in the community, we're happy to do that as well. We're really excited about the series of streams we've been able to do by having RPG creators here and in front of you talking about their systems, showing their systems, some case playing their systems with the team. That's been a lot of fun, and we're going to keep doing that as long as we possibly can. That's just been wonderful for everybody involved, I feel like. We want to be very heavily involved in the community because there's so many amazing creators and publishers and games, so much to play. And we want to be a good partner for being able to do that. Pain point coordinating schedules. Yeah, totally, 100%. And believe it or not, Tony, tooling around that is actually on the roadmap. It has been since, I think, day one of Lorelink, because literally every person we talk to has brought that up at some point in time or another. It's so freaking true. Unfortunately, the real fix is to make people less busy, and I don't have a solution for that. Of course you do. Anyway, If anybody ever has questions about Dune World, wants to talk it over, I am always up for that. I'm really excited to kind of get into this a little bit, maybe do another planning stream at some point in time and finish getting this entire starter adventure loaded up. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Um, oh, goodness, yes. Totally agree, Wolfman, totally agree. It is in many ways. This is my gaming is my escape in a lot of ways. I love doing it. Um, between TTRPGs and board games, that is a huge part of my hobbies. A little bit of video games. But, well, thank you all for being with me tonight. I think that is a wrap. I just wanted to just do a little high level introduction on Dune Adventures in the Imperium RPG. Really excited about it. I would really love to play it at some point in time. Of course, there's only so many hours in a month that gaming is available, but we will do what we can. Um, we will please be sure to check out the Loyal Link website, subscribe to our newsletter. We'll be sure to let you know whenever anything new and exciting drops, like our upcoming functionality, which I'm super stoked about. As a reminder, we will be at both Origins Game Fair and at Gen Con this year. So do check us out in those places. And be sure to come back for the next few streams. So I think we've got 2 or 3 guest streams coming up that are going to be fantastic, and you're going to learn about some different RPGs and hear about some systems maybe you've never heard of before. So it's going to be a great opportunity. I'm very excited about it. And I believe that, yep, I'm still on next Tuesday, so I'll be back with you as your host, and then Mark will be back for the stream on the 27th. So take care, have a good evening, and happy gaming.